Now, India crumpled to a very humbling loss in Centurion in their first test against South Africa. It was the first time since 2010 that India had lost to South Africa by a massive margin of an innings and more. The last time it happened in 2010 was at this very same venue. Now, a post-mortem, or what went wrong, would be so very easy because hardly anything really went right for the Indian team. So rather than pick out too many instances of errors or mistakes committed on the field, the points to note or take away from here would be the larger decisions taken that affected them and, of course, the final outcome. Now, seeing that scorecard, the easy aspect to target and talk about would be, of course, the batting. India, of course, batted for far less time and overs than their opponent. But the larger concern is most definitely the bowling and some of those decisions that impacted both the bowling and the batting departments. It is with reason that we say the team that wins is one that can take 20 wickets. So let's look at India's bowling first. Mohammad Shami, the man pivotal for India's success at the ODI World Cup, couldn't make it here because of an injury. And that hit India's chances and bowling plans really hard. The first most important tool any visiting team needs in conditions that prevail in South Africa is a very strong new ball fast bowling pair. The only one who was most accurate and kept the pressure up as much as he could from one end, no surprises, was none other than Jasprit Bumrah. His comeback has been explosive and he has proved to be more difficult to navigate than ever before. But it was always going to be easy for the opposition to try to be more cautious against one bowler, knowing that the others running in do not pose a single threat. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh. Mohammad Siraj did beat the bat a few times in the second innings, but the precision and clinical attack did not prolong. The other two fast bowlers who were not able to sustain the pressure, Shardul Thakur, Prasidh Krishna, and that played into the South African batters' hands. That resulted in someone like Dean Elgar, who is a monster opening batter for the Proteas, especially in the longest format, to get away and provide a solid base to pile on the agony. His batting prowess and records are second only to the legendary Graeme Smith. Elgar notched up his second highest individual score in Test cricket. And what was worse was that even as the South Africans continued to pile on the runs, there seemed to be a lack of inspiration or desire to try to make something happen. But we are digressing here. Let's get back to the topic at hand. We spoke about the lack of teeth in India's bowling and the miss in Shami, but what about the replacement? Prasidh Krishna has had a forgettable Test debut. Was he the right fit? Could someone like an Arshdeep Singh, who has shown the temperament of diligence and a fight, made a difference here? Well, that's a decision Indian management could think of revisiting, and it seems they have, because Avesh Khan has been called up to be a part of the squad for India's second test against South Africa that's happening in Cape Town. And speaking of selections in the bowling unit, going by the slight ineffectiveness of R. Ashwin in these conditions, did India miss a trick in including a wrist spinner such as Kuldeep Yadav in the mix? A Kuldeep Yadav who again has revamped himself, the 2.0 version, who is more accurate, incisive and aggressive with his bowling, and who's matured into a bowler who's not bogged down when things don't go his way. We're speaking of decisions India made ahead of this test that could have hampered the outcome. We have heard of the phrase trial by fire. That is what results in heroes being born. But if India made a mistake in handing out Prasidh Krishna a debut here, Yashasvi Jaiswal's debut seems just as hasty. It's a baptism that has come probably a tad too early. I get where this comes from. It's akin to the baseball approach that has worked mostly for the England side in Test cricket. It's worked with Rishabh Pant and India. He's an attacking batter who maintains the same tempo and tenor even in Tests, and it's paid off. But maybe that ploy just did not work with Jaiswal up the order. Just like in South Africa, in these conditions, you need the opening bowlers to fire in and be the best you got. Your opening batters need to be your most reliable, because you are about to face some serious heat batting on pitches that test the best in the world. It is while watching Jaiswal, Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer struggle or get deceived or tempted to drive or go for the big shot to only succumb and fall that you really realize that this Indian outfit, this current Indian outfit, lacks the patience and that extra edge that batters like Murli Vijay, Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane possessed, that produced each time they walked out to bat. These were players who could wear down any bowling opposition by just their sheer patience and power to grind it out. The second innings was another example of some of these decisions backfiring. It was an endless, painful procession of Indian batters. Some were getting done in by sheer class, like Rohit Sharma was. Rabada has his number, but that devilish delivery would be unplayable by anyone. While most threw it away, Virat Kohli was the last man to go and he was the only one standing tall. And it's a sight that has a sense of familiarity to it. Virat despondent and walking back out as the opponents, in this case South Africa, burst into celebrations. Yes, we must look to the future. That's a thought that's always good to help a team evolve continually. But it cannot be ill-timed or at the expense of ruining one's own chances to make it to the World Test Championship final. In fact, due to a slow bowling over rate, the Indian team has not only been fined, but has more importantly been docked 2 WC points.